Hi everyone, my name is Ijoma Okonkwo, the founder of Praxis Global and the editor-in-chief of Praxis Magazine. So today I'm going to be giving you a rundown on all the trade and investment opportunities that the federal government of Nigeria has been up to in the past week. Stick around for more details. If you run a business in Nigeria, whether you're a trader in Lagos, a manufacturer in Kano, or a healthcare provider in Enugu, this week's news from Abuja could directly affect your bottom line. The federal government has been busy. In the last 7 days alone, Nigeria has signed or advanced major trade and investment deals with India, the United States, the United Kingdom, the United Arab Emirates, and Turkey, covering everything from steel and oil to healthcare and farming. I'm breaking it all down for you today in plain language, and I'll tell you exactly which deals are for you and which ones are for the big boys. Let's start with the biggest headline. This Tuesday, Nigeria's Minister of Steel Development flew to Kolkata, India, and signed a $1 billion memorandum of understanding with Rashmi Metallics Group, one of India's biggest steel companies. This deal is projected to run over 3 years and covers investments across steel production, processes, infrastructure right here in Nigeria. The goal: to stop importing what we can produce ourselves and to position Nigeria as Africa's leading steel hub by 2030. Now you would ask me, who does this benefit? Let me be honest with you. This one is primarily for large industrial players. We're talking about billion-dollar steel plants, direct reduced iron production, heavy manufacturing, not the average SME like you and I. But this is important if steel becomes more affordable locally, that trickles down. Construction companies, fabricators, auto parts makers, roofing material producers, anyone who uses steel as a raw material will eventually feel the benefit through lower input costs. There is also the jobs angle. The minister said explicitly that this deal is expected to create employment. So if you're looking at opportunities in the industrial chain, watch this space closely. The second deal we're going to talk about is the Nigerian ExxonMobil offshore oil push. On Friday, Nigeria's Minister of Interior met with the newly appointed Managing Director of ExxonMobil Nigeria. The message from the Nigerian government was clear. We want more investment in offshore oil and gas exploration. The minister called for expanded activity, assured ExxonMobil of full government support. Now you would ask, how does this benefit me? This one is squarely in the territory of big corporations. Offshore explorations is capital intensive and highly technical. However, for Nigerian companies in logistics, security, marine services, or catering that work with oil multinationals, any expansion by ExxonMobil is potential business for your firm. Keep your vendor registrations up to date. Very, very important. Now, the next deal we're going to talk about is the Nigerian UAE, that's the United Arab Emirates, called the SEPA. Now, this one you need to pay close attention to because it affects everybody, including SMEs like you and I. Back in January, Nigeria and the UAE signed what's called a Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, also known as SEPA. It's now in active implementation and the details are significant. Here is what it means in practice. The UAE will eliminate tariffs on over 7,000 products. That means if you produce goods in Nigeria, food, textiles, cosmetics, crafts, processed goods, you can now potentially export to the UAE and the wider Gulf market with zero or reduced custom duties. Trust me, that's a big deal. That is one news that all SMEs want to hear. On the other side, Nigeria is also eliminating tariffs on around 6,000 products coming in, mostly industrial inputs, capital goods, and machinery. So manufacturers who import raw materials and equipment from the UAE will also see cost reductions. You also ask me, how does this benefit me? But you and I already know it benefits us, as free import duty is very good for all businesses. The large deals, infrastructure financing, real estate, digital banking, are mostly for corporate players. But the tariff elimination on 7,000 products, that is your opportunity as an exporter. agro-processor, fashion and textile producers, beauty and wellness brands. Start researching the UAE market seriously. The door has been opened for everybody, and it's your opportunity to sell your product and take your products outside. So the next one we're going to talk about is the Nigerian and USA 5.1 billion health MOU. This one isn't getting enough attention from a business perspective. I don't know why, but it's very important. Nigeria and the United States signed a landmark 5-year, $5.1 billion health cooperation agreement. The US contributes $2 billion in grant funding. Nigeria commits $3 billion in domestic health spending over the same period. This agreement covers disease surveillance, laboratory systems, frontline healthcare workers, health commodities, data systems, and primary care assets across the entire country. This is where SMEs in healthcare should sit up. This agreement creates a pipeline for government procurement for local pharmaceutical companies, medical device suppliers, diagnostic labs, healthcare startups, community health clinics, and faith-based healthcare providers. The agreement explicitly includes faith-based organizations in the delivery framework. So what it means for faith-based organizations is if you are, say, an NGO that is operating based off on your faith, the religion, whatever you practice, this particular deal covers you. So it's an all-inclusive deal, right? If your business touches healthcare in any way, supplies, logistics, technology, training, this $5 billion investment into Nigeria's health system over 5 years is your market. Start positioning now to be part of the supply chain. So the next deal we're going to talk about is the Nigerian UK ETIP updates. So you remember, I think it's about 3 weeks ago, the Nigerian government had signed a deal with the UK on how to improve trade and investment. That's the deal we're going to talk about. Now, the UK-Nigerian Enhanced Trade and Investment Partnership, or its ETIP, had its very first ever ministerial dialogue in March, and there are several updates that are technically taking effect. 3 things are especially relevant for Nigerian businesses. 1. The UK ran developing countries trading scheme workshops in Kano and Lagos, engaging over 300 stakeholders. I don't think you guys got that clearly. There's been a workshop in Kano and Lagos between the UK government that has engaged over 300 stakeholders. This scheme allows Nigerian exporters to access the UK market at preferential, sometimes zero tariff rates. If you missed these workshops, get online and research the DCTS scheme. It could change your export strategy entirely. Now, the number 2 update is the WISE FinTech approval. WISE, the UK fintech giant, has received Central Bank of Nigeria approval to operate in Nigeria. To be honest, I don't know if that's good news, Sha. Because, we have our own. If you know, WISE is the payment platform where people are able to send money from the diaspora to their families in Nigeria or vice versa. Right. So this is now, I think we already have the ones who are already operating in Nigeria. But, I think the more the merrier. There's a large, huge market of Nigerians in the diaspora. So it may not be a bad deal to have WISE established fully in Nigeria. Anyway, back to the news. So WISE, the UK fintech giant, has received Central Bank of Nigeria approval to operate in Nigeria. This means faster, cheaper international transfers for Nigerian businesses. If you're paying suppliers abroad or receiving payments from international clients, this is good news for your transaction costs. So the third update is the dairy sector or MOU. The Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority signed an MOU with UK firm Assets Green Limited to develop a large-scale dairy production and processing platform. This is aimed at reducing our reliance on imported milk powder, and boosting local dairy value chains. For dairy farmers, agro-processors, and food SMEs, this is a sector actively receiving investment. So for you guys who are in this sector, this is good news for you, right? Now, the next deal that was signed over the last week is the Nigerian and Turkey 9 agreements. excuse me, back in January, President Tinubu and Erdogan, that's the president of Turkey, signed 9 bilateral agreements in Ankara with a stated 5 billion trade volume target between both countries. The agreements span defense, education, media, social welfare, and diaspora cooperation. One agreement stands out for businesses, I beg your pardon, the Halal Quality Infrastructure Deal. This creates a cooperation framework around halal certification standards between the two countries. So you would ask, who does this benefit? Nigerian food and beverage SMEs who want to export to the Gulf, Southeast Asia, or Europe's Muslim majority markets. Halal certification is your passport. So let me break this down. So you know there's a term called halal that is practiced in the Gulf nations, in the UAE, in the Middle Eastern countries, and that has to do with the way dairy products, beef products, and everything is processed. So if you as an SME has a halal certification, is your gateway into exporting into any of these countries. And that is what this agreement stands to do for you as an SME. That's your benefit you stand to gain. Right. This agreement strengthens Nigerians' halal quality framework, which directly supports exporters in these sectors. If you are not certified yet, now is the time to start that process. The Joint Economy and Trade Committee also creates a formal channel where Nigerian businesses can raise concerns about market access. That's a structural win for the private sector. Let me give you a quick summary before we close. The Indian Steel Deal, large corporations primarily, downstream benefits for construction and manufacturing SMEs over time. The ExxonMobil oil push, large corporates, opportunity for Nigerian service vendors already in the oil sector. UAE SEPA, exporters of all sizes. If you make things in Nigeria, research the UAE market now. US Health MOU, major opportunities for healthcare SMEs, suppliers, logistics, and tech firms. The UK ETIP, exporters, fintech users, and agro-processors. DCTS schemes is underutilized by SMEs. SMEs, did you hear that? DCTS schemes are underutilized by us. We need to get involved. Turkey 9 agreements, halal food exporters and business targeting Muslim majority markets. Now, Nigeria is signing deals. The question is, are you positioning your business to perform from them? Government is opening doors. It's up to you as a business owner to walk through those doors. So if you found this useful, share with a business owner who needs to hear it. Drop your questions in the comments. I read every single one of them. Yes, and I would actually answer you. And if you want a deeper dive into how to access any of these deals specifically, let me know below. I am Ijeoma Okonkwo, and this is your Nigerian Business Briefing. See you on the next one. Bye.